Welcome to Watches You Can Afford. In today's video, we are going to be bringing you up to date with 20 German watch brands that you should know. While Switzerland is the country that comes to mind when you think of the fine art of watchmaking, Germany isn't far behind either. And since they're well known for their high-end craftsmanship in everything they do, Germans should be held in high regard in the watchmaking world as well. Because they've got an equally rich tradition and offer astounding timepieces with a craftsmanship comparable to that of Swiss watchmakers. And there are plenty of German watch brands that you should know about, from the more artistic micro brands to the better known German watchmakers that have a rich heritage behind. So therefore, to show appreciation for the fantastic timepieces that come from Germany, we've decided to round up and present some of the best German watch brands that are still around today, both old and new. Starting at number 20, we have Leica. For some of you, Leica might ring some alarm bells. Something's wrong, isn't it? Leica is one of the most well-regarded camera manufacturers in the world. What do they have to do with watchmaking? Well, if you didn't know yet, find out now that starting in 2018, Leica entered the watchmaking world, and they did so with the same design and technical excellence that brought them the fame in the world of photography. Their first two timepieces, the L1 and the L2, have already impressed watch enthusiasts all over the world, bringing subtle yet recognizable elements from their cameras into their watches. For the photography buffs out there, the crown on these watches will look very similar with a Leica camera shutter button. But the similarities go beyond just looks, as the crown is designed to be pushed in rather than pulled out to stop the watch's movement. Also of note is that the watches are made in Germany and not anywhere else in the world, which is a very good thing. At number 19, we have Kudoke. Stefan Kudoke is an independent watchmaker native from Germany whose skills and expertise have been honed working for big names in the Swiss and German watchmaking industry, such as Mühle Glashütte Original, Omega, or Montblanc pen. He's well known for specializing in skeletonizing and engraving existing moments, giving them a unique touch before fitting them inside some of the most interesting timepieces we've seen. At number 18, we have Hanhart. Hanhart's story goes back to 1882 in the city of Schwenningen, where the center of Germany's watchmaking tradition lies. They began crafting handheld stopwatches for athletes, but the early signs showing a looming World War II during the 1930s forced them into pilot chronograph watches. Some of their best creations being from that period were the monopusher caliber 40 models that came out in 1938 and the renowned Tachy Tele, featuring tachymeter and telemeter scales on the dial. That came out a year later along with the caliber 41. The innovations that the 1939 timepieces introduced have become the trademark of the company and are still present on their latest creations as well, including the bright red return to zero pusher and the red marker at 12 o'clock that allowed recording longer times than 30 minutes recorded by the chronograph subdial. Number 17, we have Wempe. Wempe is a family-owned watchmaking company located in Hamburg, one that serves as a top retailer for other watch manufacturers, but also crafts their own timepieces. They were among the many clockmakers to be drafted during World War II to manufacture military equipment for the war effort. The war left Hamburg in ruins and the company was forced to start back from scratch, but the following decade saw a successful rebuild of the company, becoming one of the most well-regarded watchmakers in Germany. At number 16, we chose Daniel Malchert. Though recently established as a brand, Daniel Malchert garnered the watchmaking world's attention with its first watch, the Schlossberg. An artist and individual master watchmaker, Daniel Malchert has set up his workshop in Quedlinburg in Germany. Besides creating his own collection of watches, he's also working his magic for the likes of Longines and Omega, among many other names. Number 15, and one that may surprise you, is Braun. Founded back in 1921 as a small engineering shop in Frankfurt that is most known for its electric shavers and beard trimmers, Braun does craft watches and clocks as well. Don't expect anything like those that come out from the big names in horology, but they're perfect for anyone who's looking for something affordable, practical, minimalist, and built with respect to engineering principles. If there's one thing that should convince you of their design, is that since 1955, when the legendary designer Dieter Rams started collaborating with Braun, Apple began to draw the inspiration for their laptops, phones, and gadgets from Braun's products. Number 14, Alexander Shorokhoff. Though Alexander Shorokhoff was born in Moscow, today he crafts his gorgeous limited edition timepieces in Bavaria, since he set up shop there in 2003. Shorokhoff's inspiration are the iconic authors and artists that Russian culture gave to the world. Among them are some of our favorites, such as Fyodor Dostoevsky, Peter Tchaikovsky, Vasily Kandinsky, and Leo Tolstoy. Its timepieces are distinct, unconventional, revolutionary, and blend together the creativity and the artistic style with a courageous exploration of what's possible in the world of horology. At number 13, we chose a younger watchmaker, Lange Heyne, founded in 2001 in Dresden, but it's one of the most ritzy watch brands to have ever come from Germany. They work in the purest watchmaking tradition, crafting their timepieces by hand using time-honored techniques only. Their most impressive piece to date is the Györk with its rectangular-shaped case and its astounding movement called the Caliber 8, one that strays far away from the traditional elements typically found in German-made movements. What Caliber 8 uses instead are impeccably finished bridges and wheels that combine together with a large screwed balance wheel held by a large balance bridge. The result is of an incredible beauty. Number 12, Stowa. Established in 1927 by Walter Storz, Stowa reached its peak productivity during the 1930s and the 1940s, crafting Bauhaus-style timepieces and later pilot watches for the Luftwaffe to aid the German pilots fighting in Second World War. The luxury watch company was passed on from father to son, and in 1996 it was acquired by Jörg Schauer from Werner So's Walter's son. Recently, in 2021, Stowa eventually became part of Tempus Arte GmbH & Co. These days, Stowa conducts its operations exclusively online, and it's well known for the impressive Flieger and Antea watch collections. Number 11, and one that may surprise you, Montblanc. Though its manufacturing facilities are located in Switzerland, Montblanc is a German luxury watch brand founded in 1908 by engineer August Eberstein and German banker Alfred Nehemias. The company's headquarters are in Hamburg, so we'll go ahead and call this a German company. Another interesting thing about this watchmaker is that it's not just a watchmaker, and it wasn't one for a very long time. Montblanc started as a luxury pens and leather goods manufacturer and only entered the watchmaking world in 1997. But instead of just buying a decent watch and strapping their name onto it, they chose to build them from the ground up, getting them very well regarded in the world of watchmakers. Number 10, MeisterSinger. MeisterSinger was started in 2001 with the sole goal of creating watches that are unmatched in simplicity and clarity. That led to an interesting concept of watches that have one hand only, something that was seen in the first clocks that were ever produced in the world. Inspired by the sundial of times past, MeisterSinger chose to go back to the origins. Though incredibly simple, their designs are among the most unique in the watchmaking industry, with their famous being the number 1, just one hand and large Arabic numerals around a nice and clean dial. Number 9, Mühle Glashütte. As the oldest family-owned watchmaking company in Germany, Mühle Glashütte comes with a rich history that started back in 1869 in Saxony. Now, the interesting part is that their first ever wristwatch came out in 1996, having only produced time measuring instruments for the German watchmaking school and motorcycle speedometers, as well as automobile dashboard counters and onboard timers for military planes, forced by the needs sparked by the 2 world wars. Some of their most famous timepieces are the SAR Rescue Timer, produced for the German Maritime Search and Rescue Service, and the SAR Flieger Chronograph for search and rescue pilots. Despite the military origins, Mühle Glashütte line of watches includes today several luxury and sports models as well. Number 8, Damasko. Damasko, founded in 1994, started from the idea that the high-performance materials that the company's founder developed for the aerospace industry would make for some of the most durable watches in the world, and so Konrad Damasko set out crafting some of the world's toughest timepieces. Damasko even used to supply Sinn with hardened watch cases up until 2002. The company makes its own in-house movements and also has made other innovations in the field as well, developing its own silicon balanced spring known as the EPS spiral and a silicon escape wheel. At number 7, we have Archimede. Archimede is a family-owned company that was established back in 1924, but only recently in 2003 started to make watches commercially. What's special about Archimede is that it's one of the few watch companies to design, prototype, craft, and finish all their cases completely in-house. The Ickler cases, as they're called, are machined from a single block of stainless steel and used for the entire range of Archimede watches, but also provided to other German watchmakers as well. As one of the top-end and most iconic German watch brands to come from Glashütte, the Lange Söhne name should sound extremely familiar to most watch enthusiasts. The company story begins in 1845 after being founded by the legendary watchmaker Ferdinand Adolf Lange. The level of artistry and the exceptional attention to detail that characterizes all the Lange Söhne timepieces have made this company one of the most reputable in the world. The stunning Lange floral pattern engraved by hand on each of their timepieces' balanced cock is their signature and company trademark as a proof of their astonishing craftsmanship and artistry. Number 5, we have the Glashütte Original. Though Glashütte Original as we know it today was founded in 1994, the company's history is a bit more complex and its roots go a long way back, as far as 1845, when the first watchmakers came to the small town of Glashütte in Saxony, making it the center of German watchmaking. After World War II ended, the Soviet Union brought all the watch companies in Glashütte under the same umbrella. It was called the Volkseigener Betrieb Glashütte Uhrenbetriebe, or for short, GUB. Following the fall of the Soviet Union and of course the Berlin Wall, this watchmaking conglomerate was allowed to be privatized in 1994, giving birth to Glashütte Original as we know it today. The company still keeps all the traditional watchmaking techniques that have been used during its long history. Number 4, Nomos Glashütte. Nomos Glashütte is another one of the companies that rose after the fall of the Soviet Union. It was founded right after the fall of the Berlin Wall in January 1990 by Roland Schwertner, with its first collection released only 2 years later in 1992. They're well known for their highly cherished Bauhaus-style watches such as the much impressive OG Tangent 38, but they've strayed away from this path with sportier collections such as the Aiho Divers and the Autobahn racing timepieces. Number 3, Sinn. Unlike other companies that have their roots in the rich heritage of Glashütte, Sinn was born in 1961 in Frankfurt under the name Helmut Sinn Spießelohren. Founded by Helmut Sinn, a former World War II pilot, hence the company's specialization on pilot watches. Later on in 1994, it was acquired by Lothar Schmidt and renamed Sinn Spießelohren, continuing with a heavy emphasis on highly functional tool watches and departing even more from the traditional German aesthetic. Among their most cherished timepieces is the U1 dive watch, crafted from German submarine steel, with a bezel treated with the company's Tegement technology, which increases the hardness level even more. Number 2, Junghans. Erhard Junghans started his eponymous company back in 1861. Junghans produced clocks, and in 1903 it was the largest clock manufacturer in the world, with a production of more than 3 million clocks that year. The company's first wristwatch was born many years later, placing the company on the path to becoming one of the big names in the watchmaking industry during the 1950s. Junghans, as we know it today, collaborates with Swiss designer Max Bill, who helped the company create some of their most iconic timepieces inspired by the Bauhaus movement. And at number 1 on our list, we have Laco. Born as Leica & Co. in 1925 in Pforzheim, Leica has been one of the companies that were contracted to produce pilot watches for the German Luftwaffe during the Second World War. Keeping to its tradition, Leica continues to produce some of the most popular Flieger watches in the industry, some very high-end timepieces that use Swiss movements, but also more affordable ones that are powered by Japanese movements so that they can make them available to more people. But that doesn't mean they stick to aviation-style pieces, as they've got a range of divers as well, and even a superb collection of dress watches. In conclusion, as you've seen in this video, the German watchmaking world is pretty big, comparable even to the Swiss watchmaking industry. That makes them a top player when it comes to anything, from high-quality affordable watches to high-end timepieces with exceptional craftsmanship. Some of the watch brands we've presented come with a rich horology heritage and naturally high prices, but there's also a few that create more affordable watches for people who are just starting their journey into the mesmerizing world of watches. If you like this video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe, and we look forward to seeing you next time at Watches You Can Afford.